Now, when Israel's indiscriminate bombardment of Gaza rages on, South Africa says it remains cautious in its ties with Israel. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa briefed the media yesterday following his meeting with pro-Palestine groups on the ongoing conflict. For more on the ANC stance on the conflict, I'm joined now by the party's Deputy Chair of International Relations Subcommittee, Obed Bapela. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, despite the war in Gaza, I know there's been a lot of talk of a two-state solution. That has been persisting. The call has also received public endorsements, not only from President Ramaphosa, but others like U.S. President Joe Biden, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and even Pope Francis. Yet despite these endorsements, some have said that even the two leaders of Israel and Palestine say that the two-state solution is an increasingly unlikely prospect. How do you envision the concept of a two-state solution for Israelis and Palestinians, especially in the wake of what President Ramaphosa has had to say?
Well, we as the African National Congress still believe that that is the solution that was well received by the world. And also the Palestinians at some point did agree to it. Israel knows about it and it knows that it should have implemented it. And unfortunately, the government that continuously rise in Israel neglected or decided not to implement, and that is why we find ourselves at this crossroads. However, we engaged Hamas, we engaged with Palestinian Liberation Organization in one room just a month ago in Johannesburg as the ANC, and we did throw this matter to them, and they both said it's unlikely, however, should the people of Palestine so decide that that is the way to go, they will abide by the people's wishes. And obviously, for us to arrive at that, it means there must be a referendum where it gets tested by the people, the Palestinians themselves, and then in that way, Hamas said they will oblige, and then PLO also said they will oblige, and therefore we still think therefore that is doable, but we just hope that the people of Palestine who have been suffering, who are now being killed, will also say at least what we are fighting for is about to be realized. What obviously we are not certain about is the borders, whether the borders will go back to the 1967 borders. And we leave that to the negotiations, and we let Hamas and PLO and other organizations that are fighting for freedom then redetermine the issue of the borders, whether 1967 is doable or not, because Israel has built a lot of Jewish settlements. But something must give, definitely.
Absolutely. With the two-state solution being a concept predating the creation of Israel in 1948, after the end of the British mandate for Palestine, the outbreaks of violence and war have blocked progress over the decades. For there to be hope, do you think it's a matter of new leadership for both Israelis and Palestinians?
Well, look, the Israel leadership, at some point when Arafat was still alive, it nearly came to some kind of a conclusion. But unfortunately, the Oslo agreement sort of said, let's test the model by giving you a semi-autonomy, which is not working. People are now rejecting it altogether, as you can see, both in Gaza and in the West Bank. So that model is not working, has not delivered freedom for the Palestinians. So therefore, we need a change of heart in Israel. For us in South Africa to get liberated, it took a lot of leaders of the National Party until when de Klerk said, this is the way we go. So they need also a de Klerk moment. But whether it will come from Netanyahu, I doubt. There was a point when Netanyahu was willing, but unfortunately, he lost the support in Israel, and the right-wingers are on the rise now. And as a result, even his government of coalition is dominated by the right-wingers who believes in the extermination of the Palestinians and nothing else. And yet, we still have these solutions before us, because that war will never end by any way, so long as the attitudes do not change from the side of Israel to really compromise and agree that let's go to the table and really get peace and give Palestinians their freedom.
Yeah. We know that South Africa remains pretty cautious in its ties with Israel in this matter. What sort of considerations have had to be made as you try and position yourself and also speak out against what's happening there?
Well, remember, we are relating with organizations and governments that are closer to the situation. Qatar in one side, who are now negotiating for a permanent ceasefire. We really support them. And also in the EU environment, we're also engaging with friends of the African National Congress to also understand our position first, but also to say the two-state solution remains fundamental and no one is opposing the two-state solution. And therefore, it's a matter of now using that lobby, the influence towards the Israel leadership via other people. Until the day the Israel, if it wants to talk to us, we are still willing and open because we are not anti-Israel as the African National Congress. We can engage them, but for now, obviously, the relationships are frosty, but we use those other bodies, and including Egypt, as we're engaging on the BRICS matters with them. We also have said, you are an ally now on the BRICS side. We will also want you now to be active and be alive, because whatever happens in Gaza, it will spill over on the Egyptian side, because we didn't want to see these people dying in the Sinai Desert.
There's also been some concerns around South Africans and permanent residents who've joined or are perhaps even considering joining the Israel Defense Force in the war in Gaza and in the other occupied Palestinian territories. What consequences could come with such a move?
Look, we did try it a few years ago by reviewing the dual citizenship of Israel and South Africa, which has been abused, unfortunately, and it's not happening with other dual citizenships like Britain and the others. So the one of Israel, probably we just have to look at the law and amend that law to say if you have a dual citizenship, you cannot be of service to any army other than South Africa where you were born, unless then that dual citizenship is abused, then we'll have to then bring penalties within the law. So, or revoke it and then really end dual citizenship between ourselves and Israel. But obviously, it's a matter for discussions that we need to throw in. Currently, we just have to check which laws of international transgression are they abusing by so doing. Being South Africans who goes and fight, sings freedom songs at they're singing the national anthem of South Africa whilst killing the Palestinians in that particular environment. That is shocking, that is distasteful, and then that is why Cabinet then is now beginning to look at any other law, international law or our own law, where we can say they've transgressed it, and begin to take measures to really stop this if doable. If not, obviously, is then to review the dual citizenship between South Africa and Israel.
Because it comes with the warning from DIRCO saying that any person joining the IDF without the necessary permission would be breaking the law and could be prosecuted. Have you had applications coming through over the last few months?
Well, we have not yet, because remember, these people go and say they're going to their homeland. And then you know them that obviously they come from Israel, but they've got the dual citizenship of Israel and South Africa. They then join the army that side, fight, and then come back as civilians, and having done their duty, and then they live normally, as if nothing has happened, as if they're just normal people. So we don't have applications, but we know of cases, we know of individuals who are aware that there are such people. And obviously, it's a matter of the lawyers now guiding government in terms of which law they've transgressed, and then so that if there is, definitely we can then begin to proceed legally in dealing with those particular people. Yeah. But for now, I think it's a statement, but the statement with of intent, and then we'll definitely follow it up with those that are known and record that we've got videos of a number of them.
And very quickly, before we let you go, we know President Ramaphosa has also announced that South Africa has joined a number of nations who want the ICC to investigate Israel for war crimes. And of course, the conflict is now claiming more Palestinian lives in the West Bank. What sort of pressure can South Africa exert to ensure some level of urgency from the ICC?
Well, a delegation from South Africa will be going to ICC headquarters and also to go and impress on them that this must happen. There's a dossier that was developed by civil society organizations. We'll use that dossier as a basis for these war crimes, including the recent evidence now of the killings that are continuing in Gaza, bombardment of hospitals, children being killed, women being killed, people being stripped naked, some shot and killed and just buried all over. So those are additional evidences that will then be backing up the call for Netanyahu to be investigated and then be arrested and then be charged. We will use our membership of the ICC to also impress on that. That's why when we are a delegation, they will receive us as a member. We remember we wanted to leave the ICC. We were pleaded by them to say we will amend and change it, but nothing is changing. Unless they arrest Netanyahu, that will then be the only change that will then say at least the ICC is no longer biased, it's able to be fair and objective, and then that it's applying the law consistently. But as of now, we still have those casting doubts around the ICC. And probably if they don't do anything, our determination of the membership will later then be reviewed. Even though we have said we're remaining, but it does not mean remaining without conditions. We did express that we'll only stay for so long as there are going to be changes. But these changes definitely not yet there, not yet visible. And therefore, South Africa will pursue the case of Palestinians as a testing case for our staying or not staying in the ICC.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time. Let's perhaps leave it there for now.